every Monday, and today we have a fantastic guest who's going to drive the conversation. Nadine Livingston, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Twizzle. She's a good friend of mine as well. And without any further delay, I'm going to hand over the session to Nadine. Nadine, welcome and take it over.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Yogesh. I really am very interested in the industry refresher that we're doing today. So thank you for inviting me onto HEXATalks. Um, I have one question that I want to start this off with, and it's why are we even talking about fair lending?
First, given all the changes that the government is making, it's very rare that the president comes up with an executive order on compliance. Traditionally, it goes through a normal process. But President Biden actually signed an executive order. Given some events in the industry that happened last year and that are happening now, it becomes more of an important matter that the industry needs to know. And that is precisely the reason. And also, there are upcoming events. 1071, which is one of the aspects of Dodd-Frank. OCC is waiting for additional guidance. And there is new leadership in OCC, in FDIC, as well as CFPB, which is going to look at this topic in different ways. And it is very important for all of us to be prepared. And that's why this compliance particularly is on top of people's mind. And there is a lot of news articles happening or changes that are happening from financial institutions as well. And that's why fair lending is the topic that we have chosen to speak, Nadine.
Perfect. Well, with fair lending, that impacts so many different areas and so many different people. So, what specifically, like what groups would actually be affected and impacted by these?
Nadine, another good question. Let me start from the industry standpoint. Typically, it is going to be obviously financial institutions, whether it is the new fintech lenders, whether it's Lending Club and Rocket Mortgage and Money Mart and few others. Then secondly, it's going to be the traditional lenders such as credit unions, community banks, regional banks, and it's also the large financial institutions. In fact, some of them have been penalized very significantly, even in the previous administration. So all these industry groups, if I have to summarize, any financial institution that lends today, whether it's in the personal in nature, and with 1071, it could be small businesses, or you are giving any loans to minority groups. All these institutions will come under the purview of fair lending now, and it is getting more and more stricter.
Hmm. No, that's very true. And even when you look at all the process within the financial institutions, they all have, because of the numerous products, they have so many different databases to align as well. So that hopefully that's going to happen, because I know it was a challenge over the last 30 years where nothing was aligned. So that'll be nice, and I look forward to that. But what will the groups in general be looking for? As far as what are they going to be looking for from a support perspective?
Sure, and I will take a note from one of the webinars that we did just a month ago on changing regulations. And the questions that were asked by the audience, who were the bankers and people from financial institutions, was around, hey, by the way, the regulations are changing, and Yogesh, we don't know how our systems, lending platforms or core banking systems will keep up. Those are the questions that were coming to us in the previous session. So it deals with changing systems. It starts with that. Are the systems providing the right data requirements that are required by the upcoming regulations, whether it's 1071, small businesses, collection of attributes around minorities, and the institutions will have to think about how they are going to deal with if their core banking systems or lending platform maybe perhaps not keep up with the regulations. There would be a requirement to look at their people, whether they are trained correctly, they are updated with regulations. Then there will be a requirement of whether the systems that they have for compliance as well as getting the data are going to keep up with these changes, and also with new supervision, new methodologies that the uh, government or regulatory bodies will apply. Are the institutions ready with that? So it's a multi-dimensional aspect, if you really ask me, that these particular financial institutions, whether it's a chief compliance officer, CFO, chief risk officer, whoever is responsible either to report or to give the data, are ready or not. So multiple things to think about, Nadine.
Definitely. The right information, the right support, the right guidance, that activation is so key. And, really, what else is going on in the market today?
Right. And if you really ask me, one topic that I did not speak in the last few minutes was uh, not just the regulations are changing, but the method of doing artificial intelligence, using artificial intelligence is also changing. Regulators, whether it's CFPB or others, are openly speaking about use of artificial intelligence in fair lending. They are doing data publication in alliance with Census Bureau and other government authorities. And when they make data available, it's an expectation, hidden expectation, that financial institutions are using this data to comply. And you cannot say today that, hey, we don't know about this data. And the question that arises is, what do we do with all these large set of data? And the answer is, you need to think about how artificial intelligence is going to be used by the other peer groups or other providers to do fair lending. So I think beyond changing regulations, you need to be educated with all this data publication that is happening. And I mean, there is a lot of content, and Nadine, perhaps you are going to touch upon some of the things that we are doing together. And also the artificial intelligence. What are the models? What is the transparency requirement from regulators around artificial intelligence? And how AI can help financial institutions to be better in compliances. So I think these are some of the newness, if I can say, in this area.
No, you're so correct in that. But I think when it comes to this, there's definitely awareness that needs to be built. So when it comes to what we're doing or our part, I know Hexanica is working on a lot of initiatives to help cut through the clutter on this. And I can speak to Tweezle. For us, we're trying to build awareness around a lot of topics and how this impacts people, and just people should really be focusing on these things because, again, to your point earlier, there's been so much that's happened with the recent climate, even with COVID, where a lot of people were not considered, that perhaps should have. And having a data, having a data-driven fair lending process implemented would definitely help with that. And with Tweezle, what we're doing is we're providing short modules or short training sessions across a number of different channels. So whether it's Tweezle Talk TV, the Tweezle Talks, which is our podcast, and then even just general courses, we're trying to keep short, concise material, delivering information that people actually need to know, as opposed to a 250-page regulatory digest of, or more so a dissertation on these key points that they should really be focusing on. So that's what we're doing on the Tweezle platform.
Uh,
But it
Fantastic.
starts
And
to
and that's why Nadine, I feel that the partnership between Hexanica and Twizzle is awesome.
Absolutely.
You drive the changes that people need to know through training or new advanced version of training. And at Hexanica, we focus on the technology aspect of it or process aspect of it. And that is what the institutions need. And that's what we intend to do together through various forums. If you want to shed some light on what we are doing together as a closing session, closing point, please do that.
Well, as a matter of fact, I just wanted to let the viewers know that we have a great panel discussion tomorrow. Hexanica is hosting a webinar. There's, I believe, almost 400 people that are attending so far. You still have one more day to register. And at that point, we're going to be going into a lot more detail about, for example, the greatest regulatory challenges when it comes to potential pitfalls, for not conforming or sorry, for non-compliance. And then when it comes to data governance considerations, and there's so much more, but there's definitely a lot of regulatory information that'll be in there. Great panel, great lineup of experts, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. You can register on the Hexanica page on LinkedIn, and feel free to go register. It's free and it's so informative. Thank you. And thanks again
Thank you,
for having
Nadine.
me on the panel today.
Pleasure. Nice talking to you. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.